Imagine standing in front of a 30-year-old car. The paint is slightly faded. The chrome isn't shining the way it used to. There are small scratches, marks of time. The engine doesn't sound perfect. It's rough, a little uneven, but somehow it feels more alive than anything else around you. And for a moment, you just stand there, not scrolling, not thinking about what's next, just feeling something. And that's where it gets strange, because most people don't feel that. They walk past it without a second thought. To them, it's outdated, replaceable, irrelevant. But to you, it's different. You don't just see it, you connect with it. And that difference isn't random. You've probably noticed this about yourself before. You don't rush through things the way others do. You pause, you observe, you notice details most people ignore, the way something is built, the way it sounds, the way it feels, even if you can't explain why. And if you're being honest, this didn't just start with cars. This is how you've always been, even in conversations. You listen more than you speak. You pick up on tone, on energy, on what people don't say, even in life decisions. You don't just follow what's trending. You hesitate, you question, you try to understand what actually matters. And sometimes that makes you feel a little out of place because the world around you doesn't slow down. It moves fast. It rewards speed. It celebrates constant upgrading, new phone, new car, new version of everything. But somewhere along the way, you started noticing something uncomfortable, that most of it feels empty. It looks good, it works perfectly, but it doesn't feel like anything. And that realization quietly changed you. You stopped chasing what everyone else was chasing, not in a dramatic way, but in a subtle, internal shift. You started choosing things that felt right, instead of things that simply looked right. And that's why old cars make sense to you, because psychologically, your mind isn't wired for surface-level attraction. It's wired for meaning. Most people see objects, you see stories. There's a concept in psychology called emotional association. It means your brain attaches feelings to things. For most people, that connection is weak. A car is just a tool, something to use and replace. But for you, that connection runs deeper. When you look at an old car, you don't just see metal, you see time. You imagine where it's been, who drove it, what moments it witnessed. Even if you don't know the actual story, your mind fills in the gaps. And that's not imagination. That's how your brain processes the world. You're not just experiencing reality, you're interpreting it. And here's where it gets even more personal. Sometimes, it's not about the car at all. It's about identity. Because deep down, you've never fully wanted to become like everyone else. Not in an obvious, rebellious way, but in a quiet, internal way. You've seen how easily people follow trends, how quickly they adapt to what's popular, how they replace things without ever forming a real connection to them. And something in you resists that. Not loudly, not aggressively, but consistently. Old cars represent something different. They're not disposable. They're not trying to keep up. They don't change to stay relevant. They stay as they are. And maybe that's what you've been trying to do too. To stay real, in a world that constantly pushes you to become something else. There's also another layer to this, one that most people don't talk about. Sometimes, people who are drawn to old things are also people who feel slightly disconnected from the present. Not completely, just enough to notice the difference. The noise feels louder to you. The speed feels unnecessary. The constant pressure to keep up feels exhausting. And even when you're doing everything right, something still feels off, like you're moving, but not really connecting. So your mind looks for something else, something slower, something quieter, something that doesn't demand your attention, but gently holds it. That's where old cars come in. Psychologists call this nostalgic grounding. It's when your brain connects to elements of the past to create emotional stability in the present. Even if you've never lived in that time, you still feel drawn to it because it represents something your mind is craving: simplicity, consistency, honesty. And this often connects back to your early experiences. Maybe you were someone who spent a lot of time in your own thoughts. Maybe you learned to find comfort in quiet environments. Maybe you didn't feel fully understood, so you learned to understand yourself. Or maybe life felt unpredictable, and now your mind is drawn to things that feel stable. Either way, this pattern didn't appear overnight. It developed slowly, silently, over time. There's also something important about how you think. You don't just experience things, you reflect on them. Psychology refers to this as deep processing. It means your brain naturally looks for meaning. You think about purpose, about identity, about why something feels the way it does. And because of that, you can't connect with things that feel empty, no matter how advanced they are, no matter how popular they are. If it doesn't feel real, it doesn't stay with you. This creates a quiet conflict in your life. On one side, there's the modern world. Fast, efficient, always moving forward. On the other side, there's you. Slower, more aware, more selective. And sometimes, it feels like you're stuck in between. Too aware to fully fit into the fast world, too present to escape it completely. And that can feel isolating, like you're slightly out of sync with everything around you, like people don't fully understand what you value or why it matters so much to you. And over time, that can turn into self-doubt. Why am I like this? Why can't I just enjoy things the simple way? But here's something important you need to hear. You're not overthinking, you're noticing. You're seeing the difference between something that looks good and something that actually feels right. And that's not a flaw, that's awareness. Loving old cars isn't about rejecting the future. It's about protecting something inside you, a sense of calm, a sense of identity, a sense of emotional honesty. Because in a world that constantly pushes you to move faster, to upgrade, to become more, you chose something different. You chose depth. Old cars don't rush. They don't pretend. They don't try to impress anyone. They carry their flaws openly. Their history is visible. Their presence is honest. And maybe that's why they resonate with you so deeply, because deep down, that's what you've been trying to hold on to. Not perfection, not status, not validation, just something real. So the next time you find yourself standing in front of an old car, feeling that quiet connection, don't ignore it. That feeling isn't random. It's not meaningless. It's a reflection of how you see the world, your depth, your awareness, your refusal to become something artificial. And in a world addicted to speed, constant noise, and endless upgrades, you chose something rare. You chose to feel, and that changes everything.